Last time we were listening to the message, तू वड्डा तू ऊंचो ऊंचा, तू बेअंत अत मूचो मूचा, हाँ कुर्बानी तेरे वंझा नानक दास दसावणिया. You are greater than the greatest. You are beyond any limits. And the only way to create a relationship with you is the one which is created in humility, which is created as a humble servant, a slave to the master. Every other kind of relationship with you will feed the ego one way or the other. The love can be between two equals. A son will grow up and stand shoulder to shoulder with the father and will claim the equality. No matter what kinds of relationship we look at, they all have a built-in assumption of the ego sustaining itself. If the relationship is of the ruler and the ruled, then it will always remain a distant one. But when the relationship is of a servant and a master, it has its own qualities. When two kings want to meet each other, they set an appointment. A day is fixed. And on that day, the date and time may be fixed, but you still need to stand outside and send the information that the king has come to meet you. Only then you will be shown in. Even though they are equal. But what about the slave and the master? A servant. What is the relationship of a master and a servant? He just knocks on the door and enters. No appointment necessary. Nothing to wait, nothing to worry. And what is the master thinking? Well, he may have some work here. He may have come to clean. He may have come to ask me some question. But there is never, ever, who allowed you to get in? But a king entering another kingdom without permission is considered an attack. A friend going to a friend's house also needs some invitation. But a servant and a master needs no permission. The doors are always open. You may not have called your servant, but if the servant comes to you, there is never any question. There is never any doubt. There is never a frowning on the face. You may not even pay attention to the fact that the servant has happened done. Well, he is doing his work. Why bother? Why question? That is a job. The only relationship we are afraid of is of the servant and the master. Why are we afraid of this? Because it does not support the ego. What is the conflict today between the relationships? I'm not your servant, what do you think? You can order me around. It's a common statement from a man's mouth to his wife. You my mother? Were you ordering me around? What is the problem? I just want something from you. No, the way you said it sounded like an order, not a request. Who is that inside us which is making the distinction? Is it an order or a request? Who's making that distinction? The funny part is, when we are doing the prayer, we are ordering him and saying, no, you're just praying. And he sees it as an order. Why does he see it as an order? Because he is doing something and you are saying, you are not supposed to do that. Do what I tell you. And he is not doing something and you are saying, no. You are supposed to do that because I am telling you. And he is saying, why are you ordering me around? No, I am praying. But where is the prayer in this? Go to a church, go to a mosque, go to a temple, go to a gurdwara, go to a synagogue. What are you doing? You are ordering him around. I am ordering you in all humility. Now, what a nice way to put it. What a play with words. Beautiful way to hide your actual sentiments by twisting the words. And the message last time was, don't abuse the language. Become truthful. Learn to create a relationship of a master and a servant. You will never ever be a loser. You will be provided everything without ever asking for it. Master will see it. After all, the master is also living the same dimension. The master knows the needs of the servant. What are the needs of a servant? What is the need of every human being? Three needs of every human being. In our language, there are three words: kulli, gulli, julli. Kulli means a place to protect yourself from the extremes of the weather, or you can call it a home, a hut. Julli, to cover your body, the cloth. And what's the next? Something to put in the stomach, right? If the body is protected, the body is covered, then body needs to be fed. Three basic needs of every single human. Every master knows, I have this need, so does my servant. And if any one of the needs of the servant are not met, the servant is going to lead me and go somewhere else. Isn't it? When the rich people call the architects to custom design their homes, don't they tell them, I need to build a servant quarter also? Servants are not here yet. But is he going to keep the servants? He better have the servants' quarters. The relationship just as a child to the parent. What is a child to the parent? I'm just going to cry, that's all. And what does the parent do? The child cries, the parent cries. The law of the nature is that if the biological parents are not around, the motherly instinct of a passerby will wake up. And anyone will go and say, where's your mother? Why are you crying? The child will be picked up. And if the same child, after a few years, start telling everybody, don't treat me like a kid anymore. It's okay. Sit there and cry. I'm not going to worry why are you crying. The relationship has changed, shifted. Create that relationship with the Creator. Don't ever tell him you are grown up. Don't ever claim yourself to be grown up and wise and smarter who can take care of all the things. I don't need your help. I can do it myself. No, say the other way around. Just do it. I accept whatever you do. So the message last time was, Ham Qurbani Tere Vanja Nanak Das. Das means become a little slave. Become humble. Any system of thought that is reinforcing your ego in any form or the shape. No exception to this rule. If the ego is being reinforced, that system of thought is creating a wall between you and your Creator. And any system of thought which says, He is greater than the greatest, you are never going to be equal to Him. He is unlimited. You are never going to be able to understand Him. Your understanding is limited, your memory is limited, your lifespan is limited, your powers are limited, everything about you is limited. And everything about the Creator is unlimited. So stop butting your head against the Creator. Today's latest news, those of you may not have heard, is that the scientists are celebrating, they have confirmed the Higgs boson. They have declared that they have found the God particle. What does that mean? That means now the scientists can declare that they know exactly that God is not needed to create the creation. But they call it a God particle. The scientist who presented that theory, his name was Higgs, and the particle names was Higgs boson. And he proposed that there is a Higgs field which is invisible, and Higgs boson is born and eliminated instantaneously, but it has the capacity or capability or the property to give mass to the other particles. The Higgs field is the one which gives the mass to the electron and to the proton and to the neutron and so forth. All of the 12 particles that are fundamental to the scientific world, they get their mass from the Higgs field. And they call it a standard theory of evolution. And they are saying, now we know. And they are also declaring, please don't ask us who gave the property to the Higgs boson. Right there in the theory, that question is not allowed. Higgs field has this property. We have scientifically measured it and proven it. After 5 years of research in the Hadron Collider, at a particle accelerator with a 27 miles diameter running under the ground between two countries, and their experiments of 5 years, the day they confirmed it, that now we are confident. And disclaimer, don't ask the next question. Okay, what is this relationship? You don't exist, I do. Look at the level of the ego. I deny you. Why? Because I can explain your creation. How much of the creation can you explain? I can only answer one question. There are fundamental 6 types of inquiry that a human creates, right? You know those 6 words: who, why, when, what, right? All of these W's are queries. Out of these 6 queries, scientists can answer one query, and that is what? What is it? Don't ask me why. And don't ask me who. And don't ask me when. But because I can answer what it is, this is not water, it is 2 molecules of hydrogen and 1 molecule of oxygen. Since I can say that, God doesn't exist. This type of mindset would never ever appreciate, understand what is the relationship of this entity with that entity. And our message last week was, this entity is a creation of that entity, and the relationship between this entity and that entity should be master and slave. Who are the people who can understand this? What are the qualities? The next hymn builds up on that thought. The first 4 lines of this hymn actually is asking, what are the qualities? If you want to have that, is there a prerequisite? So first are 4 questions and the following are 4 answers in a single hymn. First question, kaun so muktaa, kaun so jugtaa? What are the characteristics required to be free from the bondage of life and death? Muktaa. Who get there? Is it possible to get there? Kaun so jugtaa. What are the qualities to create a relationship? Jugtaa literally means to join, to create a bond, to create a relationship. What are the characteristics of those who are able to create that bondage? Kaun so gi-aanee, kaun so baktaa. Who gets to the state of knowing? But knowing is not just enough. Look at what's being said. If you know, then you need to help others. And how do you help others? You explain to them. What are the qualities of those? Kaun so gi-aanee, the knower. Kaun so baktaa, the explainer. Kaun so girhee, kaun udaasee, kaun so keemat, paa-ay, jee-o. What are the type of entity who can live in the world yet not be touched by the world? Girhee means the one who lives in. Udaasee means the one who stays detached. You can be udaasee or girhee separately. There is no problem. You can live in the world and enjoy the world of senses. Or you can run away from the world, go live in the mountains, and there is no problem with that. But the challenge comes in, you are not going to leave the world, but you are going to live like as if you are living in the mountains. Can this be achieved? Is it possible? Is it practical? Should it be suggested and recommended? Look at these questions, how profound these questions are. And in a single statement, the answers are going to come right after this. And we may go a little longer today, but we will finish this. Keemat baaDhaa, keemat chhootaa. How are the entities trapped? What causes their entrapment? We are born, we don't know, we are trapped. We grow up and suddenly we are told, you are entrapped. And I didn't even know I was getting entrapped. I thought that's what I was supposed to do. How did that happen? How did this illusion got created? What is this magic that confuses the entire universe, not just one human being? How do we fall into this trap? Why are not we alert from the day one we open our eyes into this universe? Okay, now I am trapped. First half the sentence, keemat baaDhaa. How did I get trapped? And the second half of the line says, can be the chhootaa, now how I'm going to get out? These are mystics talking. They are not taking books and volumes to describe something so complicated. The words are chosen very, very carefully. Why? Because more the words, more the confusion. The entire Quran is complete in the first 3 words. La ilaha illallah. Done. Nothing else is required. Everything else beyond that is the expansion of that word. La ilaha illallah. There is only one Creator. And the Quran is finished. But a common human mind would not get it. How would I get it? Okay, fine, I'll help you a little more. How? Now, Muhammad Rasulullah. Okay, fine. You want to know more? If you want to know the details, you need a human form like Muhammad. Look, the Quran is finished. Here is the message. Here is the messenger. Take that message into your heart. What is the message? La ilaha illallah. There were 300 gods and their symbols and statues in the building that is today called Makkah. And once a year, every tribe would travel to worship their own gods, and while they are there, they will also do their import-export business. And in Makkah, Muhammad, through Muhammad, a voice comes and says, the entire humanity gathered here is misguided. They need this message, which is, once again, what is the message? La ilaha illallah. Not too many words are required after this. Look here what's being said here. Keemat baaDhaa. How did I get trapped? End of discussion. If you don't want to spend time on it, how did I get trapped? Fine. Just tell me, how do I get out? Keemat baaDhaa. Keemat chhootaa. Keemat aavan jaavan tootaa. What is the way to get rid of this visit to this planet through the womb of my mother again and again and again? How do I get rid of this process? Because to get to where I am sitting right now at this instance, this entity had to go through the process of hanging upside down in a mother's womb, then going through the birth canal, suffering the childhood diseases, going through the ignorant period of adolescence, going through the sensual delights of the youth, getting to the stage of losing all five senses, and sitting where I am asking now this question, is this all there is it? And why the hell go through this again and again? You mean I have to go through this again? No, please don't. There are certain things which my brain was not capable of understanding, but the teacher insisted, you are going to understand what I am telling you. And I would say to my master teacher, no, I can't understand. He will say, bend over. And I knew what it meant, bend over. Because I used to hear, if the child doesn't move properly, knock the devil out of his rear end. And I knew my devil is getting knocked out. My teacher is saying bend over. Okay, fine, now we think he has knocked the devil out. I am sore, I cannot sit, sleep properly. But he thought he did his job. I am still stuck. Because certain brains don't absorb certain things. Some are more logical, some are more analytical, some are more emotional. Right from the childhood, I was more of a poetic and philosophical, and scientific theories were just not for me. But if you know Indian system of education, you have to pass all of the 14 different subjects every year. You fail one subject, you go back to the end of the school. There were no compartments or quarter system or a half-yearly system or semester system. It was a yearly system. You pass every time all 14 subjects or you fail the class. But that's how our system was. How do I get off this? I don't want to go through that cycle again. I'm scared. Even thinking of those days send a shiver through my body. No, please, not again. And that's a fundamental question. Kin biDh-aavan jaavan tootaa. How do I get rid of it? Kaun karam, kaun nihkarmaa, kaun sukhee-aa, kahaa-ay, jee-o. How do you get to the stage where you can act yet not attach the I with it? The karma means to act. Nihkarmaa means not to attach the I. Because I am supposed to live in the world, I am supposed to act. Now how do I learn to act without attaching my I with it? If these were the lessons given to me when I was in my 5th grade, I would have a Buddha by now. I would have an enlightened soul by now. But what was I being taught at the age of 5? These are the grammatical rules of English language. And I used to cry. I don't understand that. It doesn't fit into anything. CUT is a cut and BUT is a butter, but PUT is a put. You better explain it to me because I cannot remember it. Who made these rules? Oh, that's English. You better memorize it. That's a grammar. Oh dear master, they are not logical. You are just supposed to cram it up, memorize it. Don't look for any logic. Kin bid baaDhaa, kin bid chhootaa, kin bid aavan, jaavan, tootaa, karam kar, kaun karam kahum nihkarmaa, kaun sukhee-aa, kahaa-ay, jee-o. Where do you get these things? Kaun to kahe? Where should one go? Is there a single university in the entire universe? Forget whether you are a Hindu, Muslim, Sikh or Sai. Forget about it. Just say I want to go through a university where these questions are answered. Can you find it anywhere? If you go on Google, can you Google it? The answer is no. Because these subjects are not the subjects of the brain. They are not subjects of the logic. They are the subjects of the heart. Humanity has not yet learned to deal with a simple, fundamental subject of the heart. And that's called falling in love. Wouldn't it be nice if we could just rise in love rather than falling in love? Why do we fall in love? Why not rise? Because what we call love is falling. It's falling below the level of all logic, all reasoning. You just fall out of it. And the parents try to tell you, slow down. What do you mean slow down? There is no slow down. Either you are in love or you are not. Where is the middle ground here, mom? Weren't you not in love once upon a time? And even Mother Pool cannot answer it. Yes, honey, I was in love once in a time, and I am telling you, I cannot explain to you, but what you are doing is not the right thing. I now know it. I didn't know it at that time. Didn't grandma tell you? Yeah, she did, but I was stubborn like you. Okay, if you learned by your mistake, let me learn by my mistake. And that is where it ends. Because the subjects of the heart, humanity hasn't dealt with. It doesn't want to deal with it. But a mystic, a spiritualist, deals only with the subject of the heart. Brain is useless for him. Because that's just data. That is just information. That is just memories collected from sitting with the friends. Isn't that amazing? That a 14-year-old will consider the advice of a 13-year-old, but not a 50-year-old? Isn't that amazing? I would rather learn from my peer rather than my seniors. And I go and tell senior, generation gap, Dad, you just don't understand. I was talking to my friend in my class, and he told me about his own experience. Now I know what to do. Trap of the society, trap of the mind, trap of the intellect, trap of the logic. We do not have a spiritual, emotional vocabulary for anything. to pass on to our next generation? If you do, I am your student, please teach me. These are the fundamental questions being asked. Kaun so sukhee-aa, kaun so dukhee-aa. Sukh literally means to be happy. Dukh literally means to be suffering. And the question is, what is the real happiness and what is the real suffering? Did we ever talk to our children about what's the real happiness and what's the real suffering? If I am helping the mother cutting the vegetable and I cut my finger, is this the real unhappiness? This pain, this bleeding of the finger? Is this the real unhappiness? And I have been wishing for that latest version of the iPhone, and my father brings me on my birthday the latest version of the iPhone. Is this the real happiness? Have we ever explained to our children? When the object of your love is far away from you and your heart is yearning and waiting, is that a suffering? If it is, what kind of a suffering it is? And how is it different than the suffering of the finger cut? Do we know that it's the same word? Sukh, pleasure, dukh, pain. But is dukh always the one time? Is pleasure always the one time? If not, then what is the definition of real pain and real pleasure? Why do you think all religious systems are scaring the people off? If you don't follow me, you go to hell. Great, you are doing good thing, you go to hell. Is being in hell a real pain? Is being in heaven a real pleasure? If so, where is that hell and where is that heaven? These are all the questions. Kaun so sukhee-aa, kaun so dukhee-aa, kaun so sanmukh, kaun vaymukhee-aa. Sanmukh means to be present in his presence, and vaymukhee-aa means to be pushed out of his presence. Am I in his presence when I am standing in front of the statue of the cross and the Jesus hanging there, and am I lighting a candle underneath it? Am I in his presence? Or am I away from him? If so, how? Kaun so sanmukh, kaun vaymukhee-aa, kin bid milee-ai, kin bid bichhurai, ye bid kaun pargataa-ay. Kin bid milee-ai. How do I meet him now? And if they ask me, now you are yearning to meet him, why the hell did you separate to begin with? What answer shall I give? Why am I separated? What did I do? Those who worry about is there one life or multiple lives, they should answer this question. They should ponder over this. why I am the way I am. What criteria did my destiny writer choose to put me in this state, if there is a destiny? Why did he give different destinies to everyone? And when he was choosing, or she was choosing, or it was choosing to give different destinies, what is his yardstick? How does he measure? How does he say, I'm going to make you very beautiful, but I'm going to make you very ugly? How does he decide, I am giving you an extreme intellect, the grey matter in your brain will be so much that you will belong to the society of Alpha Kappa. And I am going to give you the intellect that cannot count to 5. One of my teachers used to tell me, he used to say, as a kid they used to call me Just. He just say, when God was distributing the intellect, I think you left before that. You are too much in a hurry to be born. You should have stayed a little longer and bring some intellect with you. Yeah, I'm done. I can't defend it. I didn't have the intellect even to defend that statement. How does he choose? There are so many varieties of goodies in his store of the qualities that he can give to every single one. So how did he choose? I gave 5 to him and 10 to that and 3 to him and 4. How did he choose it? There's only one line, right? If that is so, why I am living this life? If you can give me a satisfactory answer, I will stop believing in the multiple birth. Because the scripture is saying, kin bid baaDhaa, kin bid chhootaa, kin bid aavan, jaavan, tootaa. Aavan means to come, jaavan means to go back. How to break this cycle of coming and going, coming and going, coming and going, right? A person who believes in one incarnation, there is no aavan, jaavan for them, right? This scripture is telling me this, and I am willing to learn that there is only one God. I just brought it this because we have been discussing this over a few weeks. Kin bid milee-ai, kin bid bichhurai. It's being repeated again here. How do I mean? But how did I separate from him to begin with? The very first birth. Adam and Eve. Okay, I buy the whole 9 yards. First man, first woman. Now why I am different? What is my sin? Why are we all born sinners? I can understand. Because the moment I was born, I said, you are you and I am I. That is the original sin. Every single one of us are born sinners. I am I and he is he. God is God and man is man. I created that separation between you and myself, that's my original sin, and I need to now get rid of that sin and say, I don't exist, just you do. I am just an illusion on the scale of endless time. If you want to see how big your eye is, take a paper as long as you want, draw a single line on it. On one end, put 0. On the other end, put 13.7 billion years. And subdivide that line first into billions, which will be 13 division, then million will be another 1,000 divisions. Just keep on dividing and bring it to the level of average age of a man is 70 years. Find how long your line is, that 70 years, and what is the significance of those 70 years with respect to the line that we, till today we know. But I still call myself I. It does not introduce the humility in me. How significant am I on that line of the time? The time that I just spend on this planet. And if I divide my life further down, what could I do as a child? What could I do as a kid? What could I do as a student? And how much life is that? Today, a student's life is about 30 years. If you want to do PhD, you need 30 years of education. What's left? Half of life you spend being completely unproductive, completely useless to anybody else. And you still have your eye. I am a PhD. This is what separated you. Kin with milee-ai, kin with bichhurai, kin with pargataa-ay, who would now open these secrets to us? Where will you get it? Kaun akhar jit dhaavat rehta, kaun upadesh jit dukh sukh samr rehta. What are the words? What is the language? What is the behavior which makes my mind jump up and down, up and down? I go into the noise. How do I get into the noise level? Kaun akhar. What are the words? Jugtaa-aa rehta. Dhaavat means to run around. How does the mind get trained to just run around and not sit quietly? Kaun upadesh. And what is that message? Upadesh means, what is that message? Jit dukh sukh samr rehta. Where positive and negative lose their significance. What is that? Teaching. But what is the language we want to teach our children? This is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong, this is black, this is white, isn't it? And even to the adult mind, this is an absolute garbage. Should we not teach our children? Yes, you should teach your children. Just as you will teach the children the difference between two things. This is a charcoal and this is a diamond. Even they are both carbon. The diamond has these properties and charcoal has these properties. Where do we go wrong in telling this? We immediately start putting the values and the judgment. We charcoal is bad. Diamond is good. And if the kid was smart, he will say, Dad, would you please hold just a moment? You just told me that the diamond is nothing but a carbon converted under temperature and pressure. So isn't it logical? If there was no carbon, there will be no diamond? Yes, son, it is logical. Then why are you calling charcoal bad and diamond good? When one is connected so much with the other, why have you put the label? It is just a choice. Charcoal does its purpose, it has properties, and diamond does its purpose, it has properties. This is where we go wrong. Rather than just saying these are choices. Just as Shakespeare 400 years ago said, nothing is good or bad, only thinking makes it so. And he was not a mystic. And he even knew this much, that we as a society are making this mistake. We played his dramas and people wrote theses and earned PhDs. Nobody has implemented just a single statement, nothing is good or bad, only thinking makes it so. Nobody implemented that. कौन सा सुखee-aa, कौन सा दुखee-aa, कौन सा sanmukh, कौन vaymukhee-aa, किन बिद मिlee-ai, किन बिद bichhurai, किन बिद कौन pargataa-ay jee-o, कौन सो akhar जित धावत रहता, कौन उपदेश जित दुख सुख सब सहता. Where are the teachings which only tell you that positive and negative are actually connected? They are the same. They deserve the same respect, same recognition. No label on it. But the religion, organized religion, cannot exist without a label. If Christian will say, or a Jew will say, pork is no good, and Christian will come back and say, well, everything is good. And then Muslim will come back and say, no, Jews are right. Pork is no good. And then you go to India and a Hindu says, oh, wait a minute, the beef is no good either. So now we have 4 religions, major religions around the world, and they have one ritual and they are fighting over it. Everybody put their own label. Rather than saying, these are choices. Each choice has a consequence. No, we are not going to talk about that. Because if we okay everything, then what's the idea of having a different religion? Why have one? Just have one religion around the world. Hey, that's a great idea. Let's have just one religion and call it a humanitarianism. Forget all other isms. Let's all be human. कौन उपदेश जिस दुख सुख सम jugtaa, गुरमुख ज्ञानी गुरमुख बक कौन सो चाल जित पार ब्रह्म ध्याए किन बिद कीर्तन गाए जियो. कौन सो चाल? What is that behavior? How should the life be lived? With what objective? कौन सो चाल जित पार ब्रह्म ध्याए किन बिद कीर्तन गाए. What is the lifestyle which will keep the individual in his memory forever? and never let him forget him. So these are the first 4 lines. According to the set time, our time is up. So we can break here and get the answers next week. What is the majority vote? Okay. Let's get the first answer. Gurumukh muktaa, Gurumukh jugtaa. What was the first question? Kaun so muktaa, kaun so jugtaa. That was the first line. The first answer, Gurumukh muktaa, Gurumukh jugtaa. The only way you are going to free yourself from all bondages is to internalize the words of the Master, the one who has gone ahead of you, who has been there, who has done it all. Because the one who is been there can also tell you how to get there. And if that is not available, then you are wasting your life. A producer who writes a movie about Passion of Christ how does he know what is the Passion of Christ? Think about it. Do I really know what is going inside the heart of Jesus Christ 2,500 years ago? A human body who is aware of what is going to happen in the morning. Those of you who remember the story, that last night when he is going to be captured in the morning because one of his disciples is going to identify him, and he tells 12 people, tonight is the toughest night, stay awake with me in prayer. And Jesus is sitting on the mountain by himself and meditating. In the meantime, the Romans guard come, accompanied by Judah, and Jesus turns around and finds all 12 of them sleeping. Anybody remember what he said at that time? The soul is willing, but the flesh is weak. What does that mean? Inside is with Jesus and they love him and they adore him. But the sensual delights, what is the sensual delight at that time? Beautiful sleep. Cool, slow wind on the mountain. As if somebody is singing a lullaby and they sleep comfortably. What is sleeping? the body. That is why he says, soul is willing. But the senses, the skin, they are weak. The passion of Christ could only be depicted if single disciple would have stayed awake with him and observed everything going in his mind and body. That was the passion. And what did they make out of it? Let's find somebody and act out as much as bleeding of the body we can act out. And they call it a passion of Christ. Why? Because they didn't have the right master. They have not learned the Bible from the master. They had read the Bible with the help of a preacher. And the first lesson is muktaa. The one who has freed himself from the bondage. And if you are listening and following and implementing his words or her words, you will free yourself as well. Muktaa, baktaa. And the translations also have to be from the one who has been there. I have read 4 translations of the Bible and 4 translations of the Quran. And I would like to ask my Christian friends and my Muslim friends, were those translations written by those who are really being like Muhammad? Did they have that purity of the word inside them? Or the purity of the Christ inside them? Did they are the one who translated? John the Baptist or Paul, they described the Bible, and the Bible was written. Okay, there are 4 Bibles. The last one, who turned out to be the most famous one, is King James. So what is King James doing? He is calling few people who he thinks are the learned one and saying, read this and consolidate it. And let's form one authentic version and get the discrepancies out. You choose what's right. Islam did the same thing. Let's put some scholars together and let them pick and choose which hadith sounds right and which ayat sound right. Include that and then burn the rest of the variations so that the people are not confused by different versions. Which says that different versions existed. There was not a single version of anything. Neither the hadith, nor the Quran, nor the Bible. And as far as Torah is concerned, nobody knows. They are still digging out the old scrolls and this and that, and they're still going on. They are still, architects are still recovering various little bits and pieces. So where is the original? Who feels the original pain of the Jesus Christ? Original passion of the Jesus Christ? Who feels like Muhammad did, La ilaha illallah? Who is a writer who feels the same passion as Muhammad did? Only those have the right to sit down and translate the scripture. Others are using the intellect. Not the spirit, not the soul, not the heart, but the brain, the logic. One logic appeals to you, or the other logic appeals to him. What are we going to do? Which is what has happened across the universe. The scripture I am reading to you has the same problem. This scripture started getting translated in the 18th century, and there are various versions of this. And the one I am sharing with you is written nowhere. Written nowhere. It is right now what is being said is being said for the first time, and you are hearing for the first time. Whatever is coming from him is being passed on to you. There are no notes here, there are no discussions, there are no arguments. These are the words I am reading for the first time in front of all of you, and the translation that's coming to you is also for the first time coming to you. Gurmukh muktaa, Gurmukh jugtaa, Gurmukh gi-aanee, Gurmukh baktaa. The real knower, the gi-aanee, is not the one who has just the information. He is not the knowledgeable one. He is the knower. See the difference? Knowledge and knowing are not one and the same thing. We have talked about this number of times. Only the one who's been there. Gurmukh gi-aanee, Gurmukh baktaa, dhan girhee udaasee, Gurmukh keemat paa-ay jee-o. And he says, if you want to learn the technique of how to be living in the world, yet not be absorbed by the world, then observe the one who has been there. Watch his life. When Saint Bulleh Shah, a Sufi fakir, went to his master, whose name was Anaayat Khan, and he said, I want to learn the marifat, the way of the marifat. And Anaayat Khan said, this is not something that you can sit in front of me and I can teach you. And he said, what can I do? Just come live with me. So Bulleh Shah left his house and started living with Anaayat Khan. And Anaayat Khan is not sitting down with him or discussing anything. And Bulleh Shah is getting worried. So one day he confronts the master and says, when are you going to start teaching me? And Anaayat Khan says, your teaching started the day you entered my home. My life is your teaching. Observe me and my behavior day in and day night. That's your teaching. Bulleh Shah didn't ask that question again. For 3 years, he lived with Anaayat Khan. Meditated as he was meditating. One day he decided to go to a park and sit down and meditate there. He is sitting in a garden and meditating, and he gets hungry. Now the master has never gotten up once he sits down to meditate. Now Bulleh Shah is hungry, so he cannot get up to pick the fruit from the tree. So what he does, while sitting, he looks at the tree, concentrates on the fruit, and the fruit falls right under his feet. So he takes the fruit, watches, and he eats it. And he comes to his master, and master says, Bullesha, Bulya, you cheated today. And he immediately understood what master is saying. He said, Master, what could I do? The fruit just fell. And all Anayat Khan could say, Bulle, get out of my home. And now, and I do not want to see your face ever again. No matter what Bulle Shah said, Anayat Khan said, you cannot live in this house anymore. And I'm not going to explain you anything else, just get out. And the Bulle Shah is pushed out. And for 3 years, Bulle Shah is crying around in the world and asking the people, my master is angry with me, someone help me. And Anayat Khan not letting him get in. To cut the story short, another Sufi fakir tells him, the most humble profession in Islam is of a dancing prostitute. He brings the bells, puts around the feet of Bulle Shah and say, go in front of the door of your master and dance. He will know that your ego has come under control. And Bulle Shah sings there and dances. Kanjri badaya mera kuch nahi ho katda, mainu nach ke yaar manavan. He's saying, being a prostitute is not an insult so long as it is used to have your master forgive you. And Anayat Khan opens the door eventually. He lets him get in. And he finishes his journey. And that's when he writes, Kar le dil di safai, je deedar chaida. Tu jahan to ki lena tainu yaar chaida. Translation: cleanse the heart. Get the ego out. If you really want to meet your beloved, if that is your actual need, then what do you want from the world? Why you are trying to be good in the eyes of people? Be good in the eyes of your lover. Tu jahan to ki lena. What do you want from the world? Tainu yaar chahiye. You need your lover. Why are you worried about the world? Whatever they say about you, if somebody says you are a prostitute, so what? Be a prostitute. Because the labels given by the world are not important anymore. There is only one label required. And what is that label? Come on, my lover. You want to hear from me? Tu jahan to ki lena. Tenu yaar chahiye. These words can be said only by those who have been there and done that. And if you are really desirous of it, then you need to follow the process. Gurmukh muktaa, gurmukh jugtaa, gurmukh gi-aanee, gurmukh baktaa, dhan girhee, udaasee gurmukh. Gurmukh keemat paa-ay, jee-o. If you want to learn how to live in this world, yet be not affected by this world, observe your master. Because he's done that. And that's what Buddha did. For 3 years, uninterrupted. Day and night. Because preaching is what? Someone who learns to use the language is not necessarily a good person. Those are just the words. What is in the heart, that is what is important, not what's in the mouth. Ha-umai baaDhaa gurmukh chhootaa. Next question was, how did I get trapped? And the answer is, you got trapped because you asserted your I, individuality. The moment you came into this planet, do you remember when you gave the birth to a child in a hospital, they would not let you come home till you could tell them what are you going to name your baby? Isn't it? We need to prepare a birth certificate for the baby. Choose the name. And we take this as a very ordinary event. Name the baby. The sin has been committed. A new entity has been defined. And the intellect is going to revolt again. It says, this is stupid. You mean I should not name my child? That is not what the message is. You're going to miss out again. The message is something that was a utilitarian thing. Name only differentiates between two people, right? It's just a social utility. Be a good mother. As soon as the child is ready to understand the difference, start planting that seed. This is just a name. Don't put too much importance on it. It is just a label. But we give exactly the opposite message. What message do we give? Don't dare bring shame on your name. That now, look how important the label has become. Something that was not supposed to have any significance is now so significant that that name can be shamed, and that family who has that label can be shamed, and that country that has a name can be shamed, and that religion, on. A simple label created such a division that it carried all the way to the grave. And we engraved on a stone, this name had this bad memory, or this name has this good memory, on the stone. That is the original sin, and it is carried even after one dies. And what was required? We were supposed to teach. Don't focus on the name. Focus on your essence. Focus on your heart. Focus on your characteristics, qualities, your behavior pattern, what you think, what you do, How much gap is there between what you say and what you do? Focus on that. Forget what you are called. But that's not what we did. So what happened? Ha-umai baaDhaa. More that name became important, more traps started getting tighter and tighter and tighter. Ha-umai baaDhaa. And we were just talking about. People go on international tournaments and games. When one team loses, what do we say? America lost in football from Spain. Was America playing? Or was Spain playing? Look at how crazy we have gotten. This life is a game. We have made the game into life. God made this life as a play, a drama, a game. And we have taken every game that we have designed, we have turned it into life. The countries are losing and the people are dying because a certain country lost. That is how crazy we have grown up. Do the players go to play a game? Or do they give to the field to make somebody lose? If they are in a game, calling it a game, win or lose, then they are not playing. They are much more serious than that. They have forgotten what a play is. Play is a pure joy. Play is a flowering. Play is a fragrance spreading all around the world. No, actually, you are not playing golf, you are beating the ball. All your aggression is coming on the ball. And when the ball doesn't obey you, you are getting anger on your club. You are not playing. You don't know what play is. You haven't understood it. You have been misprogrammed. When we are supposed to play, we work. When we are supposed to work, we play. The whole life is up and down. The whole life is up and down. Many of you still come back 2 weeks of vacation in Europe and then you go to the office and say, leave me alone, I'm tired. What are you tired? I just came back from vacation. Oh, wait a minute. I thought vacation is supposed to make you relax and come back charged up to take over the work all over again. No. Give me a couple of days, I'll be back to normal. That's our vacation. Oh, but you just don't understand. When you are on a vacation, you don't know when you're going to come back to that country. And you jam-pack so many things into it. You don't sleep very well. You don't eat very well. You are just running from one place to the other. Oh? And you call it a vacation? You still want to call it a vacation? Wake up! These are all self-inflicted wounds and nobody else is going to pay the price for those wounds except you. Today somebody sent me a quote and I enjoyed it very much. He said, getting angry is like drinking the poison in the hope of killing the other. Getting angry is drinking the poison in the hope of killing the other. This is what we do on our vacation. We will get angry with our own self. I haven't seen this one, I haven't done that one, I had this long list, and I'm going to get 50%. Now on the way back I am just more and more. What's going on here? Ha-umai baaDhaa. The ego keeps binding. How do you get out of it? Gurmukh chhootaa. Watch the one who is free and behave like him. Very simple. When Alexander wanted to go to win the world, and he went to Socrates to get his blessing, and the Socrates is playing with the dog on the beach, and Alexander say, Master, bless me, I am going on the world conquer tour. And the Socrates says, you made the plan already? He said, yeah, it's all chopped up. They show me. He felt very proud that a mystic is taking interest in his journey. So he lays out his battle plan, the countries, the visiting and all of that. I will go there and win them. And the Socrates is not even looking at the map, he's just playing with the dog. And every time he finishes the sentence, Socrates says, then, and he goes to the next country. I said, okay, then, and he goes on and goes. When he tells all the plan, he said, then I come home. I said, then? Then I enjoy my life. I said, if that is your objective, to enjoy your life in the end, don't you think I'm enjoying my life? Come play with the dog. If enjoying the life is the ultimate objective, why don't you do it now? Why do you want to first go kill so many people and then come back and enjoy the life? Look, I'm happy. I'm enjoying the life. Join me. Forget the whole tour. He couldn't understand. Most of you have heard the story that he died on the way back and he told his pallbearer to put the hands out. People think that he was sending the message that I'm going back empty-handed. That's not what he was doing. He was sending the message to his master that I have understood your message now. Now I understood. The day I died, I understood your message when you were saying, forget all this nonsense and come and play here. It's the first time I know what master meant. Watch the master. Understand the master. Even if you don't understand it, watch and behave. Ha-umai baaDhaa gurmukh chhootaa, gurmukh aavan jaavan tootaa. If you want to get out of the cycle of life and death, then you have to follow the pattern of those who have been there. Gurmukh karam, gurmukh nihkarmaa, gurmukh kare so subhaa-ay jee-o. So the emphasis is on gurmukh, the one who has been there, who has done that, observe the pattern and follow it. Gurmukh sukhee-aa, manmukh dukhee-aa. If you are following the pattern of the master, you will know the true definition of being happy. If you follow your own mind, you will know the true definition of being unhappy. Because you can ask everybody around you, everybody will tell you the same story. Same problem with the children, and same problem with the home, and same problem with the husband, and same problem with the wife, and same problem with the business partner, mortgage, and car repairs and this, and everybody will talk to you the same problem, same issues. Last week also I was saying, for heaven's sake, don't think that I am talking about somebody personally. This is the story of mankind. This is my story. I'm giving you the examples from my personal life. I don't need to ask anybody what's going on in your home. I already know. Why? Because you are a husband, there is a wife, there are children, there is a house, there is a mortgage, there is a car, there are taxes. I know, been there. The matter of degree, little bit more here, little bit more there. But it's basically the same drama. Everywhere. And the reason I am giving you this message, because I have experimented with all of this, and I have learned to get out of it also. And I am inviting you, you can also get out. I am just an ordinary man. That's what is being said. Observe and follow. Gurmukh sukhee-aa, manmukh dukhee-aa, gurmukh sanmukh, manmukh vaymukhee-aa. If you are following your mind, you are going away from it. If you are following the words of the Master, you are getting closer to Him. Gurmukh milee-ai, manmukh bichhurai. The one who has met, if he has met, he can help you to meet. If you are not following that, you are following your own mind, you are going to go away. Bichhurai means the separation is going to continue increasing. Gurmukh biDh pargataa-ay jee-o. Gurmukh akhar jit dhaavat rehta. Ask the Master. Seek the Master. He will give you the secret of the world which makes you run around. What makes you run around? Listen to Buddha. He gave just one word to the entire humanity. Why are you running around? He said, I have only one word for you. Just, if you get it, you will center. And what was the word? Desires. That's it. What is making you run around? Desires. And we have talked about here. Need is not a desire and a desire is not a need. Learn to differentiate. Our biggest problem is we take the desire and then try to redefine it and say, this is not a desire, this is a need. Hey, we are living in the world here. If I have this big house, I need to put a Rolls Royce in front of it. I just cannot put a Pinto there. People will laugh at me and say, 5-story building and a Pinto standing in front of it.
That's an antique Pinto.
Now the Rolls Royce has become a need. When I came to this country, I met such a friend who had a huge house. And in those days, Mercedes was considered status symbol. I'm talking about early 70s. And when I went inside, there was not a single piece of furniture. And I asked him, when did you buy it? He said, about 5 years ago. And I said, you didn't get a chance to furnish it? Oh, come on. We are Indians, we sit on the floor. We can sleep on the floor, we can eat on the floor. I said, that I accept, totally accept. Then what about the Mercedes outside? Well, that's the world looks at it. Inside is only the one who is a friend who comes in. The outside is for the rest of the world. Big house and good car too. That's how we think. No understanding of the need and the desire. And the Buddha said, if you decide that, if you can make that distinction, you will forever free yourself of your mind running around. The message today is, go ask the Gurmukh about what? Akhar jugtaa-vat rehta. Get that word, akhar. The one which makes you run around. What would happen then? He says, well, he will give to you. Gurmukh upadesh dukh sukh samasayata. He will give you that advice with which you will free yourself of the positive and the negative bondage. But you have to seek. You have to ask. Gurmukh chal jit par brahm Dhi-aa-ay, Gurmukh kirtan gaay. Gurmukh chal means chal chal, his behavior, his practice, his way of living. Start copying it. Start following it. Then what will happen? The last line, Sagli bant banai ape, ape kare karaye thape, ikkat se hoyo ananta nanak ikkat samay samay jiyo. The Muhammad message being repeated here, word by word. La ilaha illallah. In Gurmukh language, Sagli bant banai ape. He is the only creator of everything, no exception to the rule. This is where the rest of the world gets stuck. It becomes very difficult to absorb by the mind. Now, wait a minute. Suddenly, you mean everything? You mean God made the devil? No, God did not make the devil. You made the devil. God just created a choice. You called one choice an angel, another choice a devil. God did not put that label on. You did. Stop blaming him. Or you mean to tell me all this hunger and all this injustice is made by God? You called it an injustice. He said, these are the consequences of your choices. And you stopped calling it consequences and you start labeling it. This is a punishment. This is a reward. And he said, this is not a punishment and this is not a reward. This is a consequence and this is a consequence. If you like this consequence, then make this choice. That's all. I'm not asking you to give up the devil. There is no devil. They are just choices, positive and negative. It doesn't make sense to me. I can't buy that. Well, why not? Well, who wants to deliberately suffer, knowing that this choice will make him suffer? Okay. Do the children decide deliberately to watch the horror movies? What do you do on that Halloween festival? What do you do on that night? What do the children do? All night, I'm going to watch blood and gore. And the parents cannot understand what's the matter with the children. And they want to stay awake all night. And they want to be deliberately frightened. more frightening, better it is. Aren't they making that choice knowingly? Why? They are telling you why. Mom, I am enjoying that torture. That gore and gut is giving me certain pleasure. And you say, Sonny, that's very negative. Yeah, Mom, you don't know. Just leave it alone. Mindset, psychology, the ego. Certain egos will enjoy the negative. Certain egos cannot stand the negative. Nobody is forcing anybody to make any choices. All choices are made voluntarily. Get this thing out of your mind. Why would anybody choose to starve to death in Africa? You don't know what their karma was. You don't know what their past was. You don't know what kind of seeds they had sown. And you are sitting here in judgment of the Creator. He's doing very bad. Look at the starvation. He's doing very bad. Look at the tsunami. He's doing very bad. Look at that earthquake. He's doing very bad. Look at that tornado. Oh God. Would you guys wake up? It's a game of positive and negative. Depending upon your choices made somewhere in the journey of not this body, but this consciousness. This consciousness is going and revolving and making different choices and facing different consequences. It's not more complicated than that. Who did all this? You say this is a game. It's a play. In every play you need both positive and negative. If you go to show somebody starvation, you are going to show somebody fat and suffering from gluttonous. Anybody knows where did this tie come from? Why to the milee-ai? This goes to the back of the King Nero, a Roman King Nero who could not ever satisfy the taste buds. So he kept on eating. He was such a glutton. People eventually thought of putting a little bib that you put on the children. They put a bib around him. He was so fond of eating that he had the physicians who will have him gurgle everything out and then start eating again. Now king is wearing a bib. People wanted to please and not have king look different. They started putting a little cloth around their neck. And slowly, slowly, fashion designers turned it into a necktie. That's the origin of your necktie. Learn, listen, and observe. There is nothing that a man created. He created. La ilaha illallah. Only one who created the entire creation. Sagli, Banat, Badai Ape Kare Karaye Thape. He is the doer, and at a certain level, he is the enjoyer. Or you can say he is the sufferer. Or you can say he is the enjoyer. Both are his. So what's the difference? He is using your container, your box, to enjoy himself. It's a drama. He is the true player. We don't know how to play the game. Ekaste hoyo ananta nanak ekasmaya samaya jee-o. Understand, he one has become many. Ekas, one. Ananta, many. He is one who has become many, and your journey, your objective is eventually ekasmahe samayo jee-o. Go back and merge into one. That's the whole game. Hide and seek. He is hidden inside you. Bring him out. Become one and one. So as you can see, in a single hymn, we find the mysteries of the life solved in an extremely simple way. The most complex questions, rather than making a sociological studies and psychological studies and philosophical thesis, it directly addresses your heart and says, get the brain out of the way. Because the brain will insist on putting a label. It will immediately say, if this label is Muslim, it will say, does it fit with the Muslim thought or not? If this is a Christian, that does it fit with the Bible or not? You lost. You missed the game. It is neither Hindu, nor Sikh, nor Muslim, nor Christians, nor Buddhists. It is none of that. It is talking of humanity. It's talking of the soul's journey. It left there. It came here. It created its own identity. Fell into the trap of taking the identity as a real one. And now, if you have the desire of dropping all this nonsense, then learn to go back from where you came. Go back into the same. So, today we have taken 2 sessions, because normally we finish at 9, it's now 9:51. So we'll stop here. I want to thank you for your patience and everything. And if there are any comments or questions, now is the time.